This conversation now. The Democratic Alliance says it got what it wanted when the Constitutional Court ruled to dismiss the IEC's application to postpone the local government elections to next year. The opposition party welcomed the judgment, saying any delay would have been a gross infringement of citizens' rights. The Apex Court decided the poll should be held between the 27th of October and the 1st of November. Let's have this conversation now. The DA Federal Council chairperson, Helen Zille, joins me for that conversation. Helen, thank you for your time. So I imagine that you are feeling quite vindicated after that outcome from the Constitutional Court.
Yes, indeed, Thulasizwe. It's a vindication for South Africans, their right to vote at a particular time stipulated in the Constitution. And of course, it's a vindication and a victory for the Constitution.
It never really could have gone in any other direction, could it?
Well, it was expected that it would. I mean, the whole issue had been planned from the beginning. The ANC wasn't ready to hold an election. They didn't want to hold an election. They used COVID as a pretext. The IEC had said it was ready to hold an election all along, and then suddenly, because the ANC didn't want to hold an election, the IEC said it would be impossible to hold a free and fair election because of COVID. Then the Moseneke investigation happened, and he proposed that the election should be postponed till next year. So everyone was expecting the election to be postponed till next year, except that the Constitution stood in the way. And the ANC didn't have a chance to change the Constitution. It's a complex process, and they wouldn't even have had the majority in Parliament to do so. So they tried to get around the Constitution by going to the Constitutional Court. And fortunately, the Constitutional Court said, no way.
So this sounds like, if we take the conversation further then, Helen, these are serious allegations you are making against, let's start with the IEC. What you are alleging is collusion between the IEC and the ANC. What should happen? And a Chapter 9 institution like that should not be colluding with the ANC, surely?
I completely agree with you. And what you should do, Thulasizwe, is ask the IEC why earlier this year it gave many presentations saying they were ready to host a free and fair election under COVID conditions. And then it suddenly said, both to Judge Moseneke and to the Constitutional Court, that they couldn't hold a free and fair election under COVID conditions. Now, why did the IEC change its position? That is a very, very important question that you're asking. But you're asking the wrong person. You must ask the IEC. The ANC hasn't got any money, we know that. It isn't ready to hold an election. It couldn't even nominate candidates. And the ANC primarily was desperate to postpone the election. But of course, this is all a part of state capture. The ANC has been capturing institutions of state, including the IEC, for many, many years. And Glenn Mashanini was a deployed cadre that was put in charge of the IEC. I can tell you the IEC has been a captured body for a very long time.
So it's one thing then for me to follow up, and I agree with you, that we in the media should follow up and ask the IEC, the tough questions about their readiness. And they are having a media briefing, as far as I understand, tomorrow afternoon, and hopefully there'll be opportunities for those conversations. But I'm asking you, as the opposition in this country, the official opposition, what are you going to do about it? Because what you are suggesting and alleging is quite serious, that the IEC is captured by the ANC. On your part, you've done the part of opposing the attempt to postpone the election, and that's out of the way. But about the fact that you believe that the IEC is captured by the ANC, what are you going to do about that as the opposition?
Thulasizwe, I can't believe that you're asking me this question. The DA is the only party that has been exposing state capture since 1997, when Nelson Mandela announced the cadre deployment policy at the ANC's national conference in Mahikeng. Since then, the DA has been exposing, explaining, predicting, and fighting the capture of one institution after another. State capture started in the late 1990s. Cadre deployment is the mechanism for state capture. We have repeatedly in the past pointed out that ANC cadres are being deployed to the IEC. That doesn't mean to say that they are all ANC cadres, but certainly the chairperson, Glenn Mashanini, was openly an ANC cadre when he was deployed there by Jacob Zuma. So you mustn't ask the DA what we've been doing about it. I want to ask the media why it took them 20 years to wake up to it, when the DA has been speaking about it, opposing it, and revealing it and fighting it for so long.
That's retrospectively, Helen. I guess the question I'm asking is going forward, given that you believe this is still happening, you surely are concerned enough to want to do something. I don't know if you want to address that, or are you happy to leave it at that, giving me the background of the work that you have done and throwing the challenge at the media, which is, rightly put for the media to also continue to be vigilant. But it's a separate question from the one I was asking about now that you're making this allegation with the result that there was this threat that not what you believe to be capture almost derailed the electoral process via, trying to circumvent the Constitution and Parliament. That's the question that I'm asking, that what are you going to do about it, not what have you done about it?
All right. Well, the next thing we're going to do about it is do well in the election. The only thing that can really be done to stop state capture and ANC cadre deployment to capture state institutions is for the voters to act accordingly. And the voters have a unique opportunity somewhere between the 27th of October and the 1st of November to go to the polls and vote out the party that has abused our Constitution so terribly for the last 25 years. If the voters do that, the ANC will be stopped in its tracks, the cadre deployment policy will be ended, and where the DA governs, we can start fixing things, and we can end state capture and the capture of nominally independent institutions. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that the IEC has said they want to drop the independent from their name. Now, I know in the Constitution they're known as the Electoral Commission, but everybody knew them as the Independent Electoral Commission. And now they want to be just the Electoral Commission. Well, I think it's a great pity to drop the independent, but it would, in fact, reflect more honestly what has been going on in the IEC's attempts to get the ANC off the hook. And again this weekend, as we understand it, but this is speculation, it is not confirmed, that the IEC was still trying to find a mechanism to open the door for the ANC to register its candidates when the Constitutional Court said it couldn't.
Let's get to that, Helen Zille. On this Sunday, the 5th of September, I believe you owe the justices at the Constitutional Court an apology because you cast aspersions on them in your anticipation that they would rule in a particular way, which you believed would have favored the IEC and, in your argument, by extension, the ANC. Well, the Constitutional Court justices stuck true to the Constitution. Do you owe them an apology? Are you going to apologize to them?
I never said what you said I said. What I did say was the ANC has been tipped off that there will be a postponement of the election. And there will be a postponement of the election. It won't be till February next year. It'll be more likely from the 27th of October to the 1st of November. But it was that postponement that the IEC wanted to re-establish a new timetable that would reopen candidate registration for the ANC. That's all they wanted. And that's all I alluded to. I said in a 4-series tweet, the ANC's withdrawal from the Electoral Court indicates that they have been tipped off that the IEC's application to postpone the election was successful. Now they're going to postpone the election from the 27th of October to the 1st of November. That's what the IEC wants to do. I have it on good authority. And they believe that that little postponement will enable Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the relevant minister, to reproclaim the election, which is what they have to do, to issue a new timetable. And they believe that if they can issue a new timetable, they can open the registration for candidates, which is what the ANC wants to do.
Yeah, but
Then I asked the question, if information is leaking from the Constitutional Court. I didn't say it was. I said, if it is. But suddenly, intelligent South Africans pretend that they don't understand the meaning of the word if. If is a conjecture, and all political analysis has an element of conjecture, otherwise it would be prediction. If information is leaking from the Concord to the ANC, it is nothing short of a constitutional crisis. I didn't say it was. I said if it
But here's the problem, though, Helen Zille. I believe that you're saying that this was couched in the terms that you're saying, and reading the tweets verbatim, it is couched in that way. But you were giving credence to that. What is a conspiracy theory? It was nothing more than a conspiracy theory, as it turns out now.
The bottom line is this: the election will be postponed, not by 6 months as everybody expected, but by 5 days. And it was that postponement that the IEC wanted to use to change the timetable and allow the ANC's candidates to re-register. That was put in the EFF's prayer to the court. But the good thing about the Constitutional Court, the very good thing about it, is it said that could not happen. Candidates can't be re-registered. Now, the interesting thing is that you're focusing on my tweet, which was very carefully hedged as a clearly speculative analysis, clearly speculative, but many
well, your speculation was wrong.
The speculation is not, the speculation was quite right that the election is going to be postponed. That was quite right. And then I say, if information is leaking from the Constitutional Court, it is nothing short of a constitutional crisis. But that statement had been made by many other people. Firstly, Andre Duvenhagen reported very prominently in Netwerk 24 and in Die Burger. It was also done the very next day after the court judgment by Theo Venter. It was interpreted in the same way by Thuli Madonsela and many others on Twitter. But you guys decided to go...
If the ANC had received a leak, the leak was completely off. If there was a leak, and at this point, really, other than your speculation, we have no proof that there was a leak. How was the leak spot on? The IEC didn't succeed in its application.
The leak was spot on. I think you're missing something very critical here. The leak was spot on because the election is going to be postponed, most likely, from the 27th of October to the 1st of November. And it was that delay, Thulasizwe, that delay, that enabled the INC to think that they could reopen the timetable after the reproclamation of the election and get the ANC to register its candidates. That's all the ANC wanted, was to get a window to re-register their candidates. And the IEC thought that a 5-day postponement would get them that break. That is the point, and it was vindicated.
I get you. And of course, it's worth mentioning that the order of the Concord under Order 5C Roman figure 3 is quite specific, that the timetable that was published on the 4th of August by the IEC remains, quote unquote, applicable. So that there's no change there, with some provision that if there's any changes, they would need to be done, those that are deemed to be reasonably necessary. So if the IEC believes there are those that are reasonably necessary, they can then do those, and we can go on and on. But I do imagine that you are anticipating on your side what the implications would be if the IEC were to try to reopen a door for the candidates list lists to be submitted. Helen Zille, I'm completely out of time, but I do need to ask you to react to breaking news that we are about to report just now, coming through from the Department of Correctional Services under the hand of the spokesperson there, Singabakho Nxumalo, confirming that the former President of the Republic, Jacob Zuma, has been released, has been placed on medical parole. What is your reaction, your immediate reaction to this news? They're saying that this is based, the medical parole's eligibility for Mr. Zuma is impelled by a medical report received by the Department of Correctional Services. What do you say?
Well, my understanding was that Mr. Zuma refused to be examined by certain doctors that had been required to confirm his own doctor's evaluation of his condition. We all remember that Shabir Sheikh was released on medical parole because he was supposed to be at death's door over 10 years ago, and he's still playing golf on the basis of my understanding. However, I don't want to say that Shabir Sheikh's case is exactly the same as Jacob Zuma's case, but we have been taken for a ride so often as South Africans that the credibility of the system is now at rock bottom. And so every South African will be quite and within their rights to say they are highly skeptical of what is going on.
All right. Helen Zille, thank you. Thank you for your time and for engaging me on the various issues and for your reaction to the news just coming in. You had not been prepped that this would come up. It came in as you and I were having this conversation. Breaking news, the Department of Correctional Services confirming that Mr. Jacob Zuma has been placed on medical parole, and talking about his eligibility is impelled, says the statement, by a medical report received by the Department of Correctional Services. I'll tell you more about this and other news in just a moment.